Hello and welcome to Ani's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Phantom Library. Holly Arnold had always been enchanted by the Isle of Wight's tiny coastal library, perched on the edge of a windswept cliff. Its creaking wooden floors and high, arched windows whispered secrets of centuries past. When the position of head librarian opened up, she jumped to the chance to work there, eager to lose herself in the musty smell of books and the comforting quiet of forgotten pages. Her first few weeks were uneventful, spent cataloguing an endless procession of tattered novels and yellowed records. But on a grey November afternoon, as rain lashed against the library's windows and the sea roared below, Holly stumbled upon something that would change her life. While inspecting the farthest corner of the basement archives, her foot caught on a loose floorboard. As she bent down to investigate, she noticed a faint draft seeping from the edges of the board. Curiosity tugged at her, and she pried it loose to reveal a dark hole. Inside, she found a set of stone stairs spiraling downward. Holding a lantern aloft, Holly descended cautiously, her footsteps echoing in the damp silence. The stairs led her to a hidden chamber far below the library, a room that should not have existed given the geography of the cliff above. The air felt different here, thicker, charged. At the center of the room was a circular table surrounded by towering shelves filled with books bound in black leather. On the table sat a single book, its title etched in shimmering gold, The Chronicle of What Will Be. Holly's fingers trembled as she opened the cover. The pages were blank at first, but as she flipped through, words began to bleed onto the parchment, forming sentences. She gasped as she realized the words were describing her own life, even her descent into the hidden chamber moments before. The book knew her every move. She spent hours flipping through the pages, unable to stop herself. The book told of mundane moments and major events to come. Next week's council meeting, a rare comet lighting the Isle of Wight's skies, and even an argument she would have with a local historian about overdue books. Then her hands froze. On a page not far from where she was reading, the text described her death. It was chillingly precise. She would be found in this very chamber, her body crumbled at the base of the table, a lantern shadowed by her side. Her breath quickened as she shoved the book away and stumbled backward. The other books on the shelves caught her eye. Could they also foretell the future? She pulled one down at random and flipped it open. The pages immediately filled with writing a stranger's life story ending in tragedy. One after another, she read them, each book chronicling someone's life and death. Most deaths were gruesome, drowning, falling from cliffs, succumbing to madness. Holly's pulse pounded in her ears as she realized these were no ordinary tomes. They weren't recording the future. They were creating it. The room felt alive now, its walls pressing in, whispering. Holly's name began to surface in a book she hadn't yet opened, her story weaving through the lives of strangers. One book showed her causing a ferry accident that would claim dozens of lives. Another described her unwittingly releasing something dark and ancient from the chamber, a presence that would haunt the island forever. Desperate, Holly fled the chamber, slamming the trapdoors shut behind her. But the knowledge of the books gnawed at her. She couldn't erase what she had seen, nor could she resist the pull of their power. In the weeks that followed, strange things began to happen on the Isle of Wight. A fisherman drowned under mysterious circumstances that matched one of the books she had read. A beloved shopkeeper fell ill, just as another book had foretold. Holly knew she should warn people, but how could she explain without revealing the source of her knowledge? The library, once her sanctuary, became a place of dread. Every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo a sinister warning. At night, she heard the trapdoor in the archives groaning open, though she never dared to check. One stormy evening, Holly returned to the chamber, unable to resist its pull any longer. She needed to know if she could change her fate, if the books could be rewritten. But as she entered, the room seemed to come alive, the lantern's light flickering wildly. The book on the table had changed. Its title now read The Librarian's End. Hands trembling, she opened it. The pages were blank except for one line, "You should not have come back." The door slammed shut behind her, and the lantern extinguished, plunging her into darkness. The books on the shelves began to whisper, their voices a cacophony of her name, her future, or doom. Holly screamed as the ground beneath her began to shift, the table sinking into the floor as if swallowed by the earth. The last thing she saw before the darkness consumed her was her own face reflected in the polished cover of the book. When the library reopened days later, Holly was nowhere to be found. Locals whispered about her sudden disappearance, but the library staff claimed she had simply left without notice. No one dared to venture into the archives, where the trapdoor now lay sealed as if it had never existed. But on quiet nights, as the wind howled against the library's windows, some claimed they could hear the faint sound of pages turning and a voice whispering, "The story is not yet finished." Weeks turned into months, and the mystery of Holly Arnold's disappearance became a local legend. The residents of the Isle of Wight avoided the library after dark, and even the bravest of patrons avoided the basement entirely. Yet the whispers about Holly persisted. Some said she had fled the island, burdened by a secret she could never share. Others claimed she had fallen victim to a madness brought on by her obsession with the library's darker corners. One stormy evening, a young archivist named Lucas Pearson, newly hired to replace Holly, decided to organize the neglected basement archives. He was an ambitious sort, eager to make his mark on the library and dismissive of the local superstitions. As thunder growled over the cliffs, Lucas descended the creaking staircase, armed with nothing but a flashlight and a clipboard. The basement was cold and musty, the air thick with the scent of decay. He began his work, dusting off old volumes and meticulously cataloguing them. Hours passed, and the storm outside intensified. Then, as he reached the farthest corner of the basement, Lucas noticed an odd chill in the air. His flashlight flickered, and he felt a strange vibration beneath his feet. That's when he saw a faint seam in the floorboards, almost invisible under layers of dust. He crouched down, running his fingers over the wood, and felt the faintest draft. His curiosity piqued, Lucas fetched a crowbar from the maintenance closet. With a determined grunt, he pried the floorboard loose, revealing the hidden trapdoor beneath. As he stared at it, a wave of unease washed over him. He hesitated, the echoes of local legends whispering in his mind. But ambition outweighed caution, and he opened the trapdoor. The spiral staircase beckoned him down into the darkness. The air grew heavier with each step, and Lucas's flashlight struggled against the encroaching gloom. When he reached the bottom, he found himself in the hidden chamber. The shelves of black leather-bound books loomed over him, their spines glistening in the faint light. At the center of the room was a table, and on it lay a book. Its cover bore no title, but something about it drew him closer. With trembling hands, Lucas opened the book, its pages blank at first. Then words began to appear, scrawled as though by an invisible hand. The text chronicled his arrival at the library, his descent into the chamber, and his current predicament. His heart pounded as he read further, and his breath caught in his throat when he reached the final line, "Your curiosity will be your undoing." The flashlight flickered violently, and the room seemed to close in around him. The books on the shelves began to hum, a low, ominous vibration that grew louder. Lucas dropped the book and stumbled back, but it was too late. The words were no longer confined to the pages, they began to seep into the air, forming ghostly, twisting shapes that surrounded him. One shape coalesced into a figure, a woman with hollow eyes and wild hair. It was Holly, or what was left of her. You shouldn't have opened it," she whispered. Lucas tried to speak, but his voice failed him. Holly stepped closer, her translucent hand reaching for him. He felt a cold, unnatural pull, as though the room itself was devouring him. "You read your story," she said. The shelves shook violently, and the books began to fly from their places, pages opening and spinning around Lucas. He screamed as the words on the pages swirled toward him, wrapping around his body like black tendrils of ink. They pulled him to the table, where the book he had opened lay waiting. Its pages turned of their own accord, blank no longer. They now told the story of Lucas Pearson, the archivist who dared to uncover the truth. The last page of the book filled itself with a single sentence, and so he became one with the library, his story never to end. The room fell silent, the books returning to their shelves, the air still and heavy once more. The trapdoor sealed itself, leaving no trace of its existence. The next morning, the library staff found Lucas's flashlight on the floor of the basement. Its battery is drained. Lucas, however, was nowhere to be found. His disappearance joined Holly Arnold's in the growing tapestry of ghost stories surrounding the library. But deep below, in the phantom chamber, 2 books now rested on the central table. One bore Holly Arnold's name, the other Lucas Pearson's. And somewhere in the dark, the shelves whispered, waiting for the next salt to descend. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.